The Borderlands franchise is a bit odd to say the least. The general vibe of this series seems to keep shifting with each iteration of the game, and it's leaving me a bit confused at what it's actually supposed to be. Is it supposed to be a gritty wasteland with an overall melancholic vibe? Is it supposed to have deep characters who mask their trauma with tragedy and humor? Or is it all just ironic jokes that dives off the deep end of cringe? I know what I personally want Borderlands to be, but does the game know what it's trying to be? I guess I'm just not too sure anymore. Borderlands 4 is coming out soon, and I have no doubt that the gameplay itself is going to be phenomenal. The issues lie within the atmosphere and the general vibes that they're going for in the world that you're going to be in. Let's first establish what I mean by vibes. What I'm trying to say is the atmosphere of the game, the mood, how our characters portray. Are there tones of sadness? Does the world feel empty? Is there something behind all the humor festering within these characters? And where we're going to start off is at the beginning.
So, you want to hear a story, huh? One about treasure hunters. Have I got a story for you? Pandora. This is our home, but make no mistake, this is not a planet of peace and love. They say it's a wasteland, that it's dangerous, that only a fool would search for something of value here.
Borderlands 1, the game that started it all. This was the most grounded out of the main three. It felt like you were actually in a gritty wasteland. The colors were muted and the maps felt desolate. This was a world that felt broken down, beaten from corporations that were bleeding the planet of any resource it had. There was humor in this one, yeah, but it felt more dry than anything. This first iteration wasn't scared of quiet moments while you were exploring or just doing side quests. Unlike later iterations where you were berated with joke after joke after joke. There wasn't a lot of annoying shit going on throughout this game. The most annoying character was Claptrap, but he wasn't that bad. It felt like he was the most ironic and blatantly joking character throughout the whole game. Yeah, there were characters having jokes or being cringe from time to time, but it wasn't so overtly in your face. The vibe was more melancholic than anything. This world and these characters, they all just felt so beat down. And instead of being depressed, it seemed like they used humor as their defense. Then we got Borderlands 2. Totally subverted the expectations from the first entry. The game was suddenly filled with more jokes. Every quest and side quest felt like there was a punchline at the end of it. And there were a lot more annoying characters on the level of Claptrap. Tiny Tina, for example. I feel like a lot of people say the third one is where it got cringy, but they're all wrong. It was definitely this entry. This game's vibe encapsulates internet humor from about 2010 to 2012. Handsome Jack was a great villain, but Handsome Jack became the essence of Borderlands. An example of what I mean by this is throughout most of Borderlands 2, he'll come on the Echo just to talk shit or say some sarcastic dickhead shit to you.
So I scoop out his stupid little eyeballs with it, and his kids are like, oh, yeah! And he can't see where he's going. He's bumping into stuff, and anyway, I don't know. Maybe you had to be there. The moral is, you're a total bitch.
Now, this wasn't a problem for Handsome Jack himself. I thought it was great during the game, but it starts to become an issue later on down the line. And we're gonna get to that soon. But first, I wanna talk a little bit about the world. 2's world was another vibe change from 1. I don't think that's a bad thing. Everything was more colorful, more pleasing to look at, and the maps had way more variety than the predecessor. Instead of a barren waste null of life, you now entered a more lively Pandora. And this matched the more humorous vibe the game was going for. Sanctuary is a great example of this. There was a bunch of NPCs just out and about, and even all the main characters were in this specific area. It was just overall a more lively place to be in. There were even quests that you could do directly in this small town. The vibe change from Borderlands 1 to 2 was pretty big, but for me, it wasn't that huge of a deal. I loved Borderlands 2 when it first came out. Gameplay improved, the story was great, the villain was tremendous. Yeah, it was a major vibe shift, but I still enjoyed it. Looking back on it now, though, you can definitely see where the whimsical aspects of this franchise started to take root, and then completely dove off the deep end with Borderlands 3. Borderlands 3 was a game, at least. The gameplay was at its peak, but the characters and story were just way too much. If you thought 2 was over the top, this one was just lame as fuck. Every joke fell flat on its face and they were endless. Remember what I said about Handsome Jack being on the Echo throughout the whole entire game? Well, imagine every single character in this game coming on the Echo all the time to say their own little snarky bullshit to you throughout the whole entire game. Bruh. Oh, and guess what? This was the longest game in the series, so you're gonna be listening to this bullshit a lot. Just look at the general consensus of the game. If you were to look it up right now, you would see everyone would say it's a good game if it were muted. That's crazy. And then the twins. Ugh. It really did feel like they were just wannabe Handsome Jacks. And this is what I mean when I say Handsome Jack became Borderlands. They were constantly talking shit and making cringe jokes over the Echo. I feel like there was so much wasted potential with the twins. There was something brewing underneath these annoying characters and it all just felt like it came to a halt. I swear they could have gotten redeemed if they just dove into a betrayal story with them, but instead they didn't. But the reason Handsome Jack worked and these twins didn't was pretty simple. Jack was just cooler. Well, that's the easy way to put it. Do you remember back in Borderlands 2 when you were about to kill Jack's daughter and you were in that big fight in the room? You saw a whole different side to Jack. He was more vulnerable. He was begging and pleading with you to not do it. And then after you murked this bitch, he pops up and kills Roland. And then this new version of Handsome Jack felt more colder and calculated. All he wanted to do was kill you. The snark, the jokes, the cringe, it all went out of the window. He just became way more serious for the rest of the runtime of the game. But in Borderlands 3, there were no moments of intense emotion. Even after a playable character from Borderlands 2 dies. After Maya's death, nobody gave a fuck. The only person that actually seemed to care was the most annoying character in the game, and that was Ava. And that right there was the huge vibe swap of Borderlands 2 to 3. It could never slow down and let you just sit in the emotions of what happened. But even for that major fault, the vibes were still here. Each world that you visited felt like it fit in. The city felt vertical with a bunch of buildings to jump on and scale. The bayou felt swampy. In my opinion, they pretty much nailed these maps. And the gameplay is obviously here. It was really just the story and the vibes of the characters. It just felt off. Borderlands 4 is now on the horizon, and from the shit that Gearbox is saying, it seems like it's gonna have another change to its core identity. And this is what the narrative director has said himself in a tweet. Or an X post, I don't fucking know what they call it now. If the word skibbity ships in the game under my watch, I'm gonna cry real tears. Paul Tassi joked that we were gonna have a gun called Hawk Tua, and a fellow dev asked me if it was real. And I wanted to put my hand down a sink grinder. So it seems like they're gonna be reeling back a little bit on the cringe humor, and that's a good thing in my eyes. But that'll be a major vibe change from Borderlands 3 yet again. I just hope the story's gonna land harder this time. I have no doubts that the gameplay in Borderlands 4 is gonna be good. I just really want the story to hit with this one. And the menus. Have you seen the menus? They look like shit. But really, I want this game to succeed. This is one of the franchises that got me to expand my taste in video games. I think if they take a step back, get this lame ass millennial cringe humor out, and replace them with some actual good jokes, we might be onto something. Whoa. Right now, from what's being said from the narrative director, it looks promising to me. Personally, I think if they're able to weave in the grit of Borderlands 1 with the narrative of Borderlands 2 with some actual good humor, we might be cooking on some shit here. I'm actually ready to hop back into this world. After replaying Borderlands 3, I'm ready to go on a new adventure, a new grind. Let me know in the comments if y'all are just as confused as I am with the identity of Borderlands and what it's actually supposed to be. And I'm hoping that 4 is gonna solidify what it actually is. Or maybe you just don't give a fuck and the gameplay is good enough for you. But if you enjoyed the video, press the like.
Subscribe.